The latest set on the LEGO Ideas range is the Globe, a very interesting display piece similar to the likes of the Ship in a Bottle or the Typewriter that could prove to be a popular product amongst LEGO fans, but also for people who are not into the hobby. Even though it's LEGO, it doesn't scream LEGO in the sense that it isn't a playset or features minifigures, something people who are a bit shy of displaying LEGO sets at home can appreciate. The model itself features a vintage type of globe, something that becomes clear as we take a closer look at all of the details. First, the brown base, made to resemble wood, uses different types of round elements, has a few accents of black and gold, and comes with a golden plaque that features a nicely printed 2x6 tile with a mini world map and reads the Earth. The different shapes of brown elements used, though, feel somewhat disconnected, and I personally would have preferred that this bottom shape was simpler for a more cohesive look. Though, due to the way everything is locked and needs to hold up well, I can understand some of the compromises made. As you will be spinning the globe a lot, the designer took that into consideration and underneath placed some rubber tires so that the whole model doesn't slide off a flat surface when handled, which positively surprised me when building this. Speaking of handling the model, the instruction booklet provides us with some pictures showing how to properly pick it up to avoid damage. So, as instructed, this is the safe way to pick it up. Now, only people building these would have access to this piece of information, so you need to be careful when showing this to your friends. The instruction booklet also has a nice two-pager about protecting the planet, sustainability and LEGO's efforts in those areas, so it would have been such a good move having included in this set some of the numbered paper bags first seen last year in the Temple of Celebration set, instead of the usual plastic ones. The arm that secures the globe in place keeps the vintage look with the use of mostly brown elements with accents of gold, and even though the angle is quite unnatural for LEGO builds in general, the gaps that usually result from such an angled build are nicely disguised and you hardly notice them. There's a black rod that goes across the globe from top to bottom, though it technically is two separate Technic axles with minor detailing. The bottom rod, as instructed on the building instructions, show a bit of grey, which I found distracting, and so I decided to make a small change and used one of these black Technic bushes that came as extras on the set to keep the all-black look of the rod. Now, the highlight of the set clearly is the globe, very impressive considering it's made out of LEGO bricks. The closer you look, you'll start noticing the unavoidable gaps you would have in such a build, though comparing it with the original submission on the LEGO Ideas platform are more subtle due to the use of a lot of these new 2x6 wedge plates to great effect. From a distance though, the model looks really good. The land masses are represented with a combination of regular green, dark tan and white elements, colors commonly associated with these kinds of objects, which I personally would have loved to have seen in the world map set from last year, though now it kinda makes sense that LEGO might have wanted to differentiate these two products going for different color schemes. I think the overall shapes of the land masses are well represented, though being a Portuguese myself, I kinda have to question the Iberian Peninsula design a bit. All of the continents and oceans have their own printed 2x4 rounded corners style with a total of 9, though the poles have their names printed on 8x8 white dishes. One thing to note is that the continent name tiles are actually glow-in-the-dark elements, which I think was a very nice touch by LEGO. The Antarctica dish element has a cool Easter egg with these seemingly random letters, but the GR are the initials of the fan designer, and the Roman numerals translate to 2022, the year this set is released. This helps strengthen the vintage look of the set and so do a few extra details. There's a brick-built sailboat making use of clever piece usage, and a windrose over here made with a combination of 6 printed elements. This set has no stickers, which is great. I do have minor issues with the design, but overall this is an amazing display piece and in that regard is a solid 10 out of 10 set. Though when reviewing sets I never stick to just looks, I also like to take into account the pieces and building experience, and that's where this review takes a turn for the worse. The building experience at the beginning was pleasant with the build of the base, but then followed by the arm, which as you can see is made with a bunch of sections that are built in the exact same fashion. It's unavoidable of course, but from someone who values building experience above anything else in a LEGO set, repetition isn't enjoyable for me. But the globe build in that regard is even worse. First we build the central section, which is composed of 16 similar shapes in dark blue that afterwards are covered with the land masses in their respective colors. After that is done, we proceed to build in pairs of 2 all of the 32 remaining side shapes in dark blue, only differentiated by the land masses you had on top. It was so repetitive that I memorized how to do them just after a couple of copies, without even needing to look at the instructions. Again, personally I don't enjoy repetition, but that isn't the same for everybody, of course, and if like myself you don't build the whole thing in one go and phase it out over a couple of days or weeks, you might find the building experience more enjoyable. Now, the parts. There's a bunch of highlights in the form of the new wedge plates, a bunch of golden elements, 32 of the new 1x5 plates in black, and the glow-in-the-dark printed tiles. But it comes as no surprise that to make a structure such as this one, you will need an awful lot of LEGO Technic elements, which for custom builders like myself that eventually take the sets apart to build other stuff aren't that desirable. Out of curiosity, I decided to go into the part list pages in the building instructions and count every single LEGO Technic element this set has. These are Technic pins, axles, bricks, connectors and similar elements, and I found that in a set with 2585 pieces, the total amount of Technic elements is 1008, almost 40% of the set piece count. If you never plan on taking this set apart, don't even worry about it. You have yourself one of the best display models LEGO has ever made. But for LEGO fans like myself, when looking at the parts list and considering the building experience, I can't really say I love it. What does a good LEGO set need to have in your opinion? Do let me know in the comments and your general impressions towards this one.